us about conflicts of ideas for international relations. These conflicts identify at least 4 different international conflicts where religion takes place a role in creating and exacerbating the conflict. There are 6 types of international conflicts which are subdivided in 2 categories: conflicts over ideas and conflicts over interests. Between the conflicts over ideas, we have the ethnic, religious, and ideological. And between the conflicts over interests, we have territorial, governmental, and economic. Let's take a look of each. And here we have some examples. For example, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine after 1991 saw the breakup were complex. Ethnic Russians living in Ukraine and ethnic Ukrainians in Russia experienced conflict. There are also religious differences between Ukraine and Russian forms of Christianity. In addition, the 2 new states had a territorial dispute over the Crimean Peninsula, which Soviet leaders Nikita Khrushchev had transferred to Ukraine in the 1950s. The 2 states also had economic conflicts over trade and money after the Soviet breakup, which created new borders and currencies. You can see that the conflict between Ukraine and Russia is ethnic, religion, territorial, and economic interests. Nationalism. This is the identification with and devotion to the interests of one's nation. It usually involves a large group of people who share a national identity and often a language, culture, and ancestry. Around AD 15,000, countries such as France and Austria began to bring entire nations together into single states. These new nation-states were very large and powerful and overran smaller neighbors. Over time, they conquered and incorporated many small territorial units. This process of popular mobilization intensified greatly in the French Revolution and the subsequent Napoleonic Wars, when France instituted a universal draft and centrally run command economy. It motivated citizen armies composed for the first time of Frenchmen rather than mercenaries march longer and faster. Ethnic conflict. Ethnic conflict is quite possible the most important source of conflict in the numerous wars now occurring throughout the world. Ethnic groups are large groups of people who share ancestral, language, culture, and or religious ties and common identity. Common identities, individuals identify with the group. Ethnocentrism. The tendency to see one's own group is favorable terms on and on our group in unfavorable terms. Some scholars believe that ethnocentrism has roots in a biological propensity to protect closely related individuals, though this idea is controversial. Dehumanization. Stigmatization of enemies as subhuman or non-human, leading frequently to widespread violence. Genocide. In extreme cases, governments use genocide to try to destroy scapegoated groups or political rivals. As an example, Nazi Germany exterminated 6 million Jews and millions of others. The Holocaust is considered among the greatest crimes against humanity in history. In 1894, in Rwanda, a Hutu nationalist government carried out the most deadly genocide of recent decades. Ethnic Hutu extremists in the government gave orders throughout the country to kill ethnic Tutsis and those Hutus who had opposed the government. As estimated, 800,000 men, women, children were massacred. In Sudan, in a decades-long civil war, signed a peace agreement in 2003, ending a war that had killed more than 1 million people. The agreement called for withdrawing government forces from the south of the country, establishing a power-sharing traditional government and army, and holding a referendum in the rebel areas in 6 years. Here we have the areas. These processes led to successful independence of South Sudan in 2011. The Cold War seems to have helped keep ethnic conflicts in check. In the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia, the existence of single strong states kept lid on ethnic tensions and enforced peace between neighboring communities. The breakout of these states allowed ethnic and regional conflicts to take center stage, sometimes bringing violence and war. Thank you for your attention.